Yeah. When I pull up on the scene, dead fresh and casket clean, they gon' hate on me. Gon' hate on me. When I pull up on the scene, dead fresh and casket clean, they gon' hate on me. Gon' hate on me. Pull up on the scene, dead fresh and casket clean, they gon' hate on me. Gon' hate on me.
Yes. Glad to have you back around. That's Deem. I'm Kay, and this is the Biscayne Breakdown. First of all, how you doing today, Deem?
Oh man, I'm doing good. I'm feeling real good today. What's going on with you, bro? I ain't talked to you in a little minute.
Hey, not much, man. I'm out here. I don't what? I mean, shoot. Since the last time we recorded, was you on the last episode?
Uh, no.
Okay, that's why it feel like we ain't talking to man. I mean, we've been texting, but you already know. I guess we ain't talked in front of the people in a minute. However, we had a little technical difficulties before we got started. I had to record the intro twice, but we got it done. We're here. Honestly, man, it's really not a whole lot to discuss. When you look at the Miami Heat in the past few games, in the next few games, that's pretty much the synopsis with the team as well. It's not a whole lot to discuss. You can't scheme certain things. There is no more coaching. There's no more uplifting. There's nothing that can be told to certain guys or the team as a whole to deal with what the Miami Heat have been dealing with over their past few games before they just won these last two. Just in this last 10 game stretch or so, there's nothing that can, be told to them that can explain what they were experiencing besides a simple need to go out there and play with more effort. And that's why I said there's not a whole lot to it. Like there isn't a whole bunch of theorizing, there's a whole bunch of science, a whole bunch of alchemy. Like there's nothing special to it. You just got to go out there and act like you want to play defense. And more often than not, when you do that, you're going to get stops. And I think that's what we've seen in their ability to bounce back in these last two games against Sacramento and Washington. So yeah, to get right into it, Dean, coming off the 7 game losing streak, 6, 7 games, 6, 7, either way, 6 or 7, too many. Coming off that losing streak, the Miami Heat did manage to get themselves a win on Wednesday night against the Sacramento Kings. Let's talk about that for a minute, Dean. What did you see or what did you take away from that game was the reason for the Miami Heat being able to get back on the right side of things and come away from that game with the win over a pretty good Sacramento team?
Like you said, bro, they just play with a little more effort. You know what I'm saying? And then plus, the shots went down. And that Sacramento team, that's like you said, bro, that's a real good team. And I wasn't that confident going into that game. I wasn't that confident going into that game. That's another great coach team. Well, I won't say Mike Brown's a great coach, but he's a pretty good coach.
It's not to cut you off, right? He isn't a great coach, but he's doing a great coaching job with that team. Like they can live exclusively, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, but I said the shots was falling more so than it was the last 7 games. The defense was a little more better. You got Jimmy. Jimmy was pretty dominant from start to finish, I say. He had a great game, but I'm not looking at just the box score points. I'm looking at the overall game, like how he was all around. Like yeah, he scored what, uh, 30, 34, whatever, however many points it was, but he was pretty dominant on all phases. Just not looking at the box score. He passed the eye
I mean,
test, is what I'm saying.
absolutely. 31, 6, and 7. 31 points, 6 assists,
31,
7
6 and
rebounds in
7.
that game. Yeah. 31 6. I said it wrong, but close enough. Yep.
Yeah, so like he was just
For me,
dominating from
man,
start
if
to
you look
finish.
at absolutely, and to speak to your point, with the effort that well, I guess that both of us started talking about. Yeah, you had Keegan Murray getting off, but I mean, you hate to say it like this, but in his second year like this, and even though he can get really hot at times, he wasn't going to be the guy to beat you, especially considering the fact that Demontis Sabonis, they held him in check early on from a scoring perspective, and didn't allow him to get going scoring until later in the game, and that really impacted what the Kings want to do. Now, he did finish with 13 assists and 17 rebounds, so he was definitely impacting the game in other ways and eventually getting to his 19 points. It's just that as a Miami Heat team that was able to contain him scoring wise and keep him from beating them there early on, or at least early enough, or not allow him to come on to a point where it was too big of a deficit, momentum wise, or whatever, for him to overcome. That was good. But you also look in totality what they were able to do to guys like Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, and Kevin Huerter. And Kevin Huerter had been going off the last couple of games, or intermittently over the last couple of last week or so. He hasn't been quite as explosive overall as he was in Atlanta for the most part, but when he does decide he's going to shoot the ball well, he can hurt you as an opposing team. But by limiting him to just 14 points on the night, limiting De'Aaron Fox to just 13 points on the night, 1 of 8 shooting from 3, 4 of 16 total from the field, and adding Malik Monk into that category, a guy that comes into the game and impacts it majorly off the bench for them, holding him to just 6 points on 3 of 8 shooting and 0 of 4 from 3. That was major for the Miami Heat and their ability to go get a win. And I think that points back to what we started this whole conversation in the show with. There's some things that you can't explain. You just got to go out there and be willing to put in the effort.
Yeah, hey yo, I got a real question, man. How is De'Aaron Fox not an all-star, bro? Like
Because
that's crazy, man.
spots, I mean, you had to. So here you go. When you're looking at the roster, it come down to not who's worthy of the spot, but who you gonna leave off. And when you look at, I'm gonna ask you a question. You had to choose at least one guy from Sacramento, right?
Yeah,
Who you gonna pick?
De'Aaron Fox.
See, and that's what we differ at. Because even though I think De'Aaron Fox is the engine, I think that they can't win they can't win as much as they can, but they can't maximize without both of them in the lineup. Let me put it that way.
Agree.
But for me, if you take De'Aaron Fox out the lineup, and let's just say add what's the boy from Baylor? Who's their backup point guard? I can't think his name, from Baylor, the small dude.
Which one?
Uh
Mitchell?
Mitchell. If you put Mitchell in there, right?
No.
Because you take De'Aaron Fox. No, listen. If you take De'Aaron Fox out and put Mitchell in there, the impact or the fall off isn't as great as if you take Sabonis out of there and put the next big in there and leave Fox. And that's
No,
how I think you look at that.
it's a huge drop off from
I
Mitchell
didn't I
and
didn't
Fox.
I didn't I didn't say it was. I didn't say it wasn't. Never said that. All I'm saying is the drop off between leaving Sabonis in the lineup and replacing Fox is less than leaving Fox in the lineup and trying to replace Sabonis. And I think that's what they did. Because you got a lot of situations where it's like, we can't leave because the team is performing like they are, we have to take one guy from the team. So it's about picking and choosing. I mean, because both of them are all-star worthy. If you're asking me if Fox is an
Yeah,
all-star,
I'm both of
yes.
them all-star worthy. And Sabonis,
But
he was just everywhere that night. Like he was literally just everywhere that night.
19, 17, and 13. I think that's why.
Yeah, he was just everywhere that night. Shout out
I
to
mean,
Sabonis, man.
yeah. I mean, a balling. E. Reed was waxing poetic, and oftentimes it can
Yeah,
annoy you as a home fan. But like when that man won't hit shots, but he was still like I said, finding a way to impact the game. Finished with high double digit. Well, finished with double digit assist and dime and triple double, and it won't like no. It won't like no. It wasn't 10, 11, 10. You feel what I'm saying? In respect to that, because that's a respectable triple double. Triple double's a triple double, but it won't 10, 11, 10. Like it was a chunky triple double. So
17, 13, man.
hey, them numbers, bro. He put work in.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see from, like, when you got a good player and he isn't, and like I noted, Sabonis wasn't able to get his offense and his shot to go early in that game. Maybe until like the middle or the last third of the second quarter, honestly, bro. But when you aren't able to get your shot to fall, I mean, if you want to be honest, you like to see a guy put in work in the other areas and still try to help his team win.
Yeah. Especially, with distributing the ball. People see they shot not
Absolutely.
falling and they get discouraged on the offensive end, or they want to
Or they do
they
their
want to
thing.
keep forcing the shot.
Exactly. And that's what you don't want. So, like you said, double on top of that for you to be able to recognize that and say, all right, I'm gonna give it up to my mans and them and still help my team. Like you love that, man. I mean, that was pretty much it though for me. Got the stops, got back to that defensive chops, put in the effort, and they were able to get a win against the Sacramento team. They end up winning that game 115 to 106, 9-point win again over a Sacramento team that isn't terrible at all, sitting at 27-19, which is a better record than the Miami Heat and good enough for fifth in the Western Conference right now. Moving on to Friday. I'm sorry, did you have anything else to close out on that Kings game?
No, no, it's a great game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, to piggyback one more thing to your point, they played through Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's numbers were what they were, of course, and you needed that. But I think that was another thing. They said, screw all of the bull. We're gonna play through Jimmy Butler because we need to go get us a win. If you'll notice, Jimmy Butler finished with 21. Josh Richardson did
Oh
have
yeah,
himself
we
a
didn't even
night.
speak about
Yeah,
Josh
yeah, we
Richardson
did.
like that.
That's disrespectful. It is. It is 6 of 10 from three, 5 rebounds, 3 dimes. I mean, yeah, bro. I, I don't know what else to say. Jay Rich was on one, so you got to salute him. What you got on Jay Rich, Dean?
Yo, man, shout out to Jay Rich. He can't. Like, I'm pissed that we just skipped right by him because that whole
I know,
time I
I
was
know.
like, you know, went back. I had to go back and rewatch that game, obviously, but man, Josh Richardson was on one, bro. Like it's just like everything he put up was just knocking down. He looked like the old Josh Richardson. He reminded me
I,
of the old Josh Richardson, man.
hey, look, man. I think we had these conversations over the last month, and I said it 2 weeks ago. For me, his game is his game, but you watched him go to different spot, bounce to bounce to bounce, and the confidence wasn't there. But what I saw 2 weeks ago was I was like, wait a minute, Jay Rich looked like he's starting to become more confident in his game and his role again in this Miami Heat system. And although, we shouldn't expect him to go 6 of 10, go for 24, 25 every night, Joel, who's of course chiming away in the comments as a producer on this show. Shout out to him. We should expect him to be able to contribute in that manner because even like I said, in the last couple of weeks, he's hit some big threes, man. Like, and they like, fading to the left, catch and shoot motion. It's shots that only he and two other dudes on the team gonna shoot it. And one of them dudes, you ain't gonna always like it when you shoot it. So shout out to Jay Rich, man. I mean, you know, that's what you want your role guys to do, step up in your big moments. And we need it. Like I said, Jimmy Butler
Yeah,
played well tonight, but every time you thought that the Kings were going to make a run, it just seemed like Jay Rich wanted to play silencer that night. So shout out to him, man. I expect to see him do quite a bit more of that as the season continues to progress.
yeah, it was a great game, man. Like I said, I didn't watch the game live. I had to go back and rewatch the
Absolutely.
game. But bro, Josh Richardson, he was on one, man. Like,
And you know what, man? I'm not going to put a 20 on a 10. But when Josh Richardson has played decently this season, the bench performs better. Now, of course, that's directly correlated because he's coming off that bench, but it just seems like if he's performing well, it just seems like everything works better with the second unit. Not gonna put too much on that. Want to see a little bit more. But when he's making a few shots, man, things are going right. Things are going right. Now, to your point of not watching the game, I wasn't able to see the Wizards game. Had a busy day. We're coming to you live on Saturday, February the 3rd, here recording this episode as the Miami Heat played the Washington Wizards on Friday night, February the 2nd. Busy day. Had to go, you know what I mean, see my grandmother, do dinner or whatever, but I did listen to the game on the radio, which is why I made that point to say. So I was able to hear everything, ebbs and flows, stay in tune, stay locked. But
that
from
boy,
what I
that
go, go ahead.
that boy K living in the 1950s, man. He listening to games on the radio. What's
Hey
going on?
brother, hey brother. I was in the car. I was
Hey
driving. So
man, not the Heat and Wizards game. I would have just missed it that game, bro.
I,
Like, uh,
I,
ah,
bruh, if the Heat playing and there's a way to like stay locked in safely, of course. Because of course I could have had it up on my, I could have just pulled a live feed up on my phone and been watching it while I was driving. But who could do that? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do nothing like that.
listen,
In any
don't risk
event,
your life on a Heat versus Wizards game, man.
bro. But see, that was my logic though. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I was talking to my homie last night, also a Heat fan. And he was just telling me, I was like, yeah, man, I'm listening on the radio because I had a busy day, like going on. I was just thinking, Heat Wizard, that'll be no problem. They'll handle that. I can just listen on the radio because it's just gonna be some background noise anyway. But you know what I mean? It's a highly contested game, basically, until like the middle of the third quarter. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? In any event, like I said, I was on the radio with it. And the Miami Heat were down at 10 points. We're down 10 points at one point early in the first half, bro. Like you see, it got me all discombobulated. You down to the Wizards by 10. It might have been 11. Either way, you down double digits to the Wizards. And they were eventually able to come back. Same situation. Got a couple stops. Shots continued to fall. Now I will say this, based on what I was able to perceive from those that did see the game, what I heard and social media, a lot of it was the Miami Heat simply not being able to make the good looks that they were creating for themselves early on. Now, to be down 11 says a lot, but I guess they were also playing some good defense because if you can't make anything and the Wizards are making shots just to be down 11, all I'm saying is if it was the way people made it saying they should have been down 20. So, I mean, you got to respect their ability to play defense and keep the Washington Wizards from running it up on them then. Because the only thing worse than losing 8 games in a row is to lose one to the Washington Wizards. What you got on this Wizards game, Dean?
Yeah, shout out to the 9-39 Washington Wizards. Like the only thing I had to say about that game
They
because
got 9 wins?
yeah, they got 9 wins.
Oh, okay, cool.
They're like
I'm just
nine and
glad we
they're
won.
like they
I'm glad we won 10, brother.
yeah, I mean they said it a couple times on the broadcast. Well, you didn't watch, so you seen you heard radio, so you didn't hear
They
it. But
didn't say it on the radio.
yeah. I don't even know who's on the. Bro, I don't even know where you find games at on the radio.
So I'm a Sirius XM satellite radio kind of guy.
Oh,
On the
oh yeah, all
radio,
right.
right? Jax do the radio broadcast.
Yeah, I don't know if I can listen to a radio game.
It
Shout out
take
to
a
my man.
different.
Listen, man.
It
Shout
definitely
out to
take a
my
different
man
type of
K, man.
cat,
He's
man.
dedicated for every Heat game, all 82 of them. I miss a lot of Heat games during college basketball season because it's not too many college basketball games, but I always go back and rewatch them. Not always, not always. This Wizard game, I would have never went back and rewatched this Wizards game. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Like I would have never went back. Like it's the 9-39 Wizards in the January. Yeah, if I didn't catch this live, I would have never watched this game again. Shout out to my guy K, man. He's dedicated
I,
to this.
hey, look, man. I'm gonna try to catch the game whichever way that I can, man. I honestly, man, the Miami Heat was supposed to beat the Wizards, and I think you said it right. The 39 Wizards. I mean, they went in there, they handled their business. It was a little scary at first, but just like me and my dedication, eventually, they did what they need to do to get the job done. Because that's all it's about sometimes is just going in there and handling your business. And that's why I was like radio, TV, you know what I'm saying, on my phone, whether I gotta jock somebody's little FM radio, I'm gonna hear this game because it's not about luxury. It's just about handling my business, which is hearing the game, experiencing it some way, somehow. Now, I produce on this show, who of course is El Capitan Network, can't help himself. So he's getting ahead of the gun. But he brings up a good point in the group chat. I know you guys can't see it, but I'm gonna illustrate it for you. There seem to be sentiments that when the Miami Heat were able to take over that game in the third quarter, I mean, the run that sealed the game, they went up double digits, and I don't think they ever relinquished their double digit lead on the game. Was a period when Tyler Hero, who wasn't the most efficient on Friday night, went out of the game. Now, I didn't see the game. Like I said, those were the sentiments. So I'm assuming it seems as though you saw the game, Dean. Am I right?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Uh,
Yeah.
no, you good. You good,
Uh,
brother. You good.
with
What?
the
What?
thing
What?
with
Okay.
Ty,
What are your thoughts there? How do you feel about that sentiment? Is that sentiment accurate, somewhat accurate, or dead wrong?
no, I agree with what Joe was saying. Tyler, he struggled with his shot, obviously with making shots. It was last night? Yeah, last night, Friday night. But not that he just struggled making shots, but he like his shot selection was pretty. He was forcing shots. Like if that makes sense. The shots he was taking was just. It was just like, bro, you don't have to take that shot. It was like him and Terry Rozier was fighting for who's going to take the worst looking shot tonight. Like who's going to take like seriously, who's going to take the worst looking 3-pointer shot tonight? It was him, Terry, and Jordan Poole. Oh my goodness, bro. Jordan Poole is one of the worst basketball players I ever seen lay eyes on. I'm so happy that Tyler Hero and Terry Rozier. Remember how everyone used to compare and they used to want to rank Terry Rose. I mean, not Terry. I'm sorry. They used to want to rank Tyler Hero, Jordan Poole, and Tyrese Maxey. Do we all remember that time? I'm so happy that's put to rest because Jordan Poole is obviously one of the worst basketball players I have ever seen in my entire life, bro. All he fans, we all argue and talk about how horrible Tyler IQ is and like his horrible shot selection. Terry Rozier is the worst player I ever seen play basketball.
You mean
The
Jordan Poole?
absolutely
Jordan Poole.
worst.
Jordan. You
Jordan
mean
Poole. I'm
Jordan Poole?
sorry. I'm sorry, bro. I'm just a
Boy,
little frustrated.
yeah, I was gonna say you so passionate that you throwing names out there, not gonna remember what you
Bro,
said. Somebody might hear it. They're gonna be like, "You said this, but we know you meant that."
bro, like Tyler Hero is Michael Jordan compared to Jordan Poole, man. No, like that bracket is not like it.
Wow. I mean,
And I
I mean,
remember that whole argument used to piss me off, but
no, you're
now
right.
it's really
Speak to that
pissing me
point.
off, and I'm
I
happy it's
never.
not a thing no
I'll,
more.
I'll be honest. Tyrese Maxey is probably the better player of those three. I mean, I have to say it
He
at this
always
point. Not
was the
probably.
better player out of
Yeah.
those
Now,
three.
I wasn't ready to admit it then because I didn't see it. But right now, you probably have to say Tyrese Maxey is the better player out of those three.
And he
I
just
would
dropped
say that
51.
he did, and he's an all-star. I would say this
Yeah.
though. I was still, even though, and I'm just gonna be frank, and I like Tyler. I want Tyler to work. So this ain't that. Tyler struggles with efficiency and is like I've always said since his rookie year, his superpower is the ability to make the super difficult shot that you shouldn't take. But that doesn't mean that he always should take that shot. And I think that's his issue because he can. He always feels like he can bail himself out there. What you notice about a guy, excuse my sniffles, guys, and what you notice about a guy like Tyrese Maxey is he'll play in the middle. He rarely plays in the middle. He might float you once or twice a game. He might pull up in between and take the little mid range, something to counter. You just put it in your head. But Tyrese Maxey is going to the cup or he taking that three. And he really excels at that. So he plays an efficient game, but he also plays a style of game that sees him high value. And that's because even when he's not, he's only taking, mainly those two types of shots. So let's just say half and half or 60-30. But even when he's not taking the three, he's going to the hole, which is inevitably going to get him to the free throw line on a lot of those occasions. So it's just the way he goes about doing it. And that has everything to do with skill sets. Like Tyler's special ability on top of that is his size for the position that he plays. Whereas Tyrese Maxey's special ability, because Tyler's a two guard, but he is a fairly good sized two guard at 6'5" or whatever. But Tyrese Maxey's super fast. And you can't teach that. I seen him hit a dude with a crossover move the other night.
Hey,
By the time the dude switched his stance, Tyrese Maxey was already going past him. Because it's like once
bro,
he get up on you, close the space, hit you with the between the legs. In order to guard that, you got to turn your body, which means shuffle your feet. But he gone by you before you can shuffle your feet. Went to the cup, drew a foul.
Tyrese Maxey. I seen Tyrese Maxey. Obviously, where I live, but I see Tyrese Maxey a lot of times. Like I see him a lot of times. He's not that big, bro. Like he's a very very short guy. Like
He about 6 foot, six and a
yeah,
half.
bro. I was gonna say like yo, me and this guy we got to be like the same height. So like every time I watch him play, like when I do tune into Sixers games, like I get a lot of Sixers. Well, I got League Pass, so sometimes Sixers games be acting a little shady towards me when I be trying to watch a few Sixers games. Be acting a little shady.
It's your
But
local market, so they're gonna black it out on there. But I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. I
you
mean,
should have a local. You
yeah,
should have
we
a
got
local
the
channel where they like feeding it to you, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
begging you to
yeah, yeah.
watch it.
But sometimes, like it just I can't catch it. Like
Right, right.
NBC, seeing whatever the hell the channel is. When I do want to watch certain Sixers games, it be acting a little shady towards me. But bro, every time I turn on the Sixers game, it's like how at times we wait for Tyler to be that third player. It's nights where Tyler disappear from being that third option. Maxi never fails to be that second player. Like when Embiid is when he's going through his slump, his end game slump where he might not look good for 4 or 5 possessions. Maxi is there making the right play, and it might not be scoring. It's just he's there making the right plays, and I'm still frustrated with Tyler because we said this in the chat, and I do want to touch on this. So whereas though during that 7 game period, that 7 game losing streak, I really locked in and wanted to see where the problem was because I see a lot of people saying, Kyle wasn't the problem. This guy had to go to the bench. Okay, and I was one of those advocates where I said Tyler had to be on the bench too. Tyler's not the issue. He's not I'm not gonna say he can be the solution, but it doesn't all fall on his shoulders to where as though our offense is 100% number 14 fault, and everyone's saying he has to go to the bench. I don't think he has to go to the bench anymore. I think it's becoming a Spo problem. I think it's coming as a coaching problem, and we all know how I feel about Spo. But I see how Nick Nurse, how he makes his first and second option, and Embiid and Maxi, how they play off each other. And I don't see Spo. Spo doesn't do that as great as he should. How he makes Jimmy and Tyler play off each other, and I don't think it's Tyler's fault. I think it's a coaching problem.
Well, you actually walked right into what I was about to say, so I'm gonna disagree with you and strongly. But first of all, to that point, I was about to say Maxi whole thing is like right now we say that, and that's what I was trying to say. Like because we talk about Tyler's inefficiency at times and shot selection, it kind of clouds or distorts how you want to say he would do in a situation like Maxi's. However, when you look at Maxi's situation, it's ideal because the
Yeah.
pieces fit. The pieces fit. And it's like, your second best player isn't also a guy who needs your spaces. Your second best player is a big man. And not only just a big man, but one of the most dominant big men. So inevitably, by doing what he wants to do, he's going to create more room and freedom for you to operate. So the situations aren't exactly equal. We're asking Tyler to fit into a much more rigid situation. Now, to that point, I think
But
that
Kate,
speaks to what. Go ahead.
before you listen, it's times where we might need Tyler to be the second best player, and it's times where he has been the second best player, even though like skill wise, Bam is obviously a better player. But it's nights where we need Tyler to step up and be like, I need to be the second best player and play off of Jimmy. And I think it's not that they skill can't like let that happen. I think it's a coaching job to put his two best players in position to play off each other. And that's what Nick Nurse does with Maxi and Embiid. And I don't see that
It's
same thing from Spo.
it's not the same, bro. You can't say that because like Embiid wants to pick. I mean, Embiid wants to pop, but Embiid wants to roll. Like Embiid wants to do things that fit well with what Maxey wants to do. Like who gonna be your popper? Who gonna be your roller? I mean, and I know there's more plays than that, but I'm gonna get to that. Who's that in that Tyler Jimmy situation? Even think about it with other guys, perimeter players that you might call better than Jimmy and Tyler. Like when Kawhi Eaton, he ain't in the two-man action with PG or two-man action with James Harden or two-man action with Russ. Like it's basically ISO, everybody else be your best self. Okay, if I'm ISO and that's Kawhi, Paul George, you know you a slasher, baseline guy. If you catch a guy sleeping, we're gonna hit you for the three. But most of your stuff going to the cup because James Harden's gonna be that spot up guy on this. And if Russ in the game, he's also gonna run the baseline because he in the dunker spot in that lineup. If James Harden, the guy with the rock in his hand, okay, PG and Kawhi can kind of flip flop depending on who got the matchup. Because even though Kawhi ain't a pure slasher like PG can be, Kawhi loved to work in that short baseline area. Like that short baseline, the block area, like that's home for him. So you can kind of swap it. Lo and behold, if you got Russ in there operating as the main ball handler, any of those guys, you really don't want James Harden running your baseline. You want him as a spot up guy. But any of those guys could do anything because they're so good with the rock. I'm just saying it's like I find it hard to put it all on Spo because it's like it's not like as a natural fit. And I'm not absolving him of this. And I'm gonna loop it around, but it's not like a natural fit as an MB and a Maxi is with it being two guys who can naturally be them best selves together and it meshes. It doesn't clash at all. Okay, now that's the point with Tyler. I'm still of the mindset he should play off the bench, but I think it's even more evident than it ever has been. And as I've always said, it's not about Tyler. It's about making the most of what Tyler can do for you when he's on the floor, when combining that with making the most of what everybody else can do while they're on the floor. If you give Tyler free reign to just be himself, go shoot all your shots. That's how you're gonna get the most points. That won't be a problem if he's doing it while Jimmy Butler isn't on the floor predominantly. And apparently, again, we're not saying one way or another. We're just trying to read trends, pick up on sentiments. Apparently, when Tyler Hero isn't in there, to take his volume shots, that's when the rest of the team is performing at their optimal, or their peak performance offensively as a whole. So you try to maximize both. You put the team as the coach, Spo, I think you should put the team in the position where they can produce the most. But then also when you have a guy like Tyler who's actually he's good at playing outside the offense, even though that ain't always good for the team. When you have a guy like him who could go get you, that much, because somebody got to take the shots anyway. You play him outside of the norms of that structure as much as you can, and that's my whole thing about him going to the bench. And it all plays hand in hand. If you're going to tell me that the team has looked more cohesive offensively in the last two games when he wasn't on the floor, or when he wasn't taking as many shots he typically does, only took 9 shots in that Sacramento win, then what you're telling me is Tyler Hero should have his own time and the other main guys should have their own time. That just simply sounds like what that is to me. Now, you might be right. I was just saying I don't think it's all on Spo.
Yeah, I just don't think it's all on Tyler either, because we seen players.
I wanna fight back. I'm not saying it's all on him. And I think that's what that comes off as. That's just the only thing I can think of, bro. I don't know what else that what I'm saying. I don't know another move that can make that happen. But I want to make that
I just
clear.
think it's the coaching job to find a way to his best 3 players skill set to all fit and bounce off each other. Like that's just what I think. Now that I was that's just what I picked up. And like once again, I could be wrong, but that's just what I've seen and what I thought watching the last what game was that? But that wasn't Boston game. That was great. Who we played at the Boston?
Phoenix.
The Phoenix game and the Sacramento game is the games I just looked at and was like, Tyler, yeah, he's not having the greatest game, but I just can't
It's
put it all on him. And that
Hey,
Phoenix
bro.
game was dead. That was a horrible ass game. That was just a
It's fun.
horrible ass game.
It's funny you say that. When you're thinking about a team like Phoenix, and he's a top 5 player ever, top 2 offensive player ever, so he's different. But I'm gonna use this as an example. Kevin Durant is nothing more than a spot up shooter a lot of the time in that Phoenix offense. Now he's Kevin Durant, so when ain't nobody else on the floor, you would get him to rock and tell him to go to work, and he could get that, and he could go for 20 in like 12 minutes because he's that efficient. And he could also be elite as a spot up shooter because he's one of the most lethal 3-point shooters when he takes a lot of them because he don't really take a lot of them. But a lot of times in that Phoenix offense, when you got Devin Booker doing his thing, or when you're letting Bradley Beal run it to Devin Booker to do his thing, Kevin Durant is nothing more than a spot up shooter. Think about that. And I think that's the situation you're running
I would
into.
disagree. I would disagree.
I Fair enough, but they're finding a way to make that work because the skill sets, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant's skill set are pretty similar for me. Like they need the same areas to be their best selves, but they're figuring out a way to make it work. And it's basically your turn, my turn, but you got to figure out how to make that cohesive. And it's weird. It's a weird dynamic. And I think that if you're a team like the Clippers, Russell Westbrook is clearly your 4th most talented player. Agree?
Yeah, I
Right.
would agree with that.
But sometimes somebody got to make a sacrifice. Now the Suns, they're trying to figure out a way. They don't have, even looking at a team like the Clippers, the Suns don't have a strong, like they don't have a super strong bench. The guys on their bench are playing above their heads, and a lot of that has to do with some guys are undervalued. I've always liked Chimezi Metu, an example. EG has always been underrated, but can still get a bucket. So I mean, you got things like that going on, but then, like I said, you also got guys playing above their heads. When you look at the Clippers bench, the Clippers got a bunch of legit players on that bench. When you look at Terrence Mann, gonna be a player. When you look at Amir Coffey, he's going to be Taurean Prince at worst. Once he hits his prime, a good 3-and-D man that's going to make $10 to $12 million a year. When you look at, they got Plumlee, who just coming back off injury, who probably won't be able to get off the floor once Zoo come back, because you had Daniel Tice who stepped in and was playing well with those guys. All I'm saying is when you look at that Clipper bench, even though it isn't like, the most elusive or the most illustrious second unit, compared to that Suns bench, it's pretty strong. So I
Yeah.
just feel like you even have more, benefits there. It's just, we differ in philosophies, man. I think that at the end of the day, they have to figure out a way to make it work. And whether that's with all of their best guys on the floor at the same time or with them not sharing the floor at the same time, I think our end goal is to figure out how to get the most out of all of those guys to help your team win. I think that's where we meet in the middle at.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I will agree with a lot of things you said, but the Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers of all time, you labeled him just as a spot up
No,
guy?
I'm not labeling him that, and that's why I always monitor what I say. I'm not saying he's just that. But if you look at that Phoenix offense sometime, it's Devin Booker being Devin Booker and Kevin Durant standing over in one of the corners waiting on the pass. What is that? In the purest sense of basketball, what do you call that guy that's just waiting on the pass?
Yeah, I mean, you got a point there, but like,
I'm
come on,
just
man.
saying.
He one of the
Like I
greatest scorers in
I
NBA
know, I
history.
agree. I'm just speaking,
How many
you know what
times you
I'm
see that
saying?
man push the ball down, take a a lovely, beautiful looking pull up
And
middle
that's why
range pull up jumper?
when you KD and you one of the most efficient scorers ever, you could do that for 12 minutes a game and still go get you 20, 25. So those other 20, 25 minutes a game where you're not doing that, you don't notice that. I agree. I'm just saying, if you watch this Phoenix offense operate, it's like that a lot. Like when Bradley Beal out top cooking or trying to create, or when Devin Booker out top cooking, you got Kevin Durant standing on a wing or in a corner. I'm just saying, next time you see Phoenix play, watch it. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Now, of
Do
course,
you
KD go get the rock and cook sometime, or when they stagger it, and he the guy that's got the rock in his hand the whole time. But if you think about a guy that you want playing without the rock, the guy that you want mostly playing without the rock, between those three, is probably KD. So that's why he's the dude. And then it goes back to his efficiency. Because he don't have to have a rock all game. It can get you 12 to 20 like that. But then you can give him the rock for as few as 6 to 8 minutes total, and he can still go get you 20 in 6 to 8 minutes total on rock time. He's just that efficient.
Quick question, yes or no question, real quick. Do you think Phoenix will make the playoffs? I think right now they currently the 7th seed right now, if I'm not mistaken. I think they
Yeah, they're
are
gonna
a
make the
playing
playoffs.
team.
They're gonna make
I
the
was one
playoffs.
of those guys who
Too
said
talented.
they weren't going to make the playoffs because of the how
Hell,
weak they was health and how weak they was depth wise. So I
right.
don't know. I'm still standing by that. I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
Like I told you, I think their bench is a lot better than people give them credit for. Not that they're good at all, but I think guys like Bobo, guys like the dude Okoji, Metsu, which one of them plays in Phoenix? Is it Grayson Allen or Pat Connaughton? I always get confused. I think it's Grayson Allen. Guys like that, like I think that those guys are better than people giving them credit for, and I think that when it matters the most, they're going to contribute. But at the top end, man, when you look at Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, if those guys can stay healthy, mainly Bradley Beal, of course, they too talented not to make the playoffs, bro. Just too talented.
Yeah, they are real. That's one of the most talented teams I've seen in a long time, outside those Kevin Durant and Golden State days.
Yeah,
Still,
I
but
mean that top end
they
talent is
just
just,
top. They just
and
real
we
top
and
heavy.
and bro, we're forgetting about Houston Nurkic, who's probably a top 8 big in the league.
Ah, he's all right.
I mean, if he ain't playing on that team, bro, if he ain't playing on that team, he 20-9.
I don't know about. I don't know 20 and
But
9,
bro,
but
he was like
when
17,
he was
18,
in
and 9 in
Portland,
Portland.
he disappeared a lot in the playoffs.
I mean,
He
you can say that about.
disappeared too
I mean,
much.
I mean, you can say that about several dudes in Portland in playoffs. But I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you got a point. Listen,
I mean,
I'm
what?
not saying I don't like him. I like him. I just don't. I just
I
think
mean,
he's all right.
hell, we could. He won't. I mean, Dame and CJ were better players, but they did the same thing. So we
No, no,
can't.
no, no. It's different. Like his game didn't translate well in the playoffs.
Fair enough. You ain't saying it was make a miss. It was just like your
Yeah, I'm
game.
not
I
saying.
got you.
Yeah,
Fair enough. That's fair. That's fair. Oh man, we found a way to bobble around off some bull jive for the last 45 minutes. Let's quickly get to these next 3 games before we wrap it up. Like I said, man, there was nothing really important to discuss. It was effort. Do y'all want to come out here and get some stops or not? Do y'all want to come
right.
out here and make it difficult for the team to hit shots or not? Do y'all want to
Yeah,
win or not? Do y'all want to get to 10 losses in a row before you realize somebody gonna have to bust their ass and get out there every play? No days off, no plays off. And that's what we've been saying. It's a physical eye test thing. You can see the difference. Since they had that meeting and everybody had they come to Jesus moments with each other, I'm sure Jimmy cussed somebody out. I'm sure Spo cussed Jimmy out. I'm sure Bam, got up there and said a couple cuss words. I know UD cussed everybody out because they lost on his night. I mean, like I said, man, you can physically see the effort. So as long as they continue to play with that same effort, I have faith that the offense is gonna come around. Because if you look at this Miami Heat team too, we were saying it before they made the Terry Rozier trade, deepest team in the Jimmy Butler era. Well, since they were losing, people kind of stopped talking about Terry Rozier. Look, bro, this Miami Heat team is one of the most talented teams in the East. Like, you literally traded Kyle Lowry, who some people forgot was on the roster some nights because he didn't shoot. And you know I don't have a problem with Kyle Lowry. I'm just making a literal point. And you added Terry Rozier, who's just hitting his prime, having arguably the best season of his career, and was getting you 25 a night. And we said this. He wasn't going to get that for you when he came to Miami because his volume wasn't going to be the same. And he was in a meaningful situation where it wasn't about Terry, go do your thing and drag these fools to the finish line if you can. But what we know is there's a game where he comes out in the first quarter and he's on. Terry's a guy that's showing you he's capable of putting up 50 of them things. So, in my opinion, the Miami Heat just got that. We already thought they were a better team than they had been during the Jimmy Butler era because of their depth. But now, talent-wise, not losing anything but leadership and you know, what's the word? Intangibles. From a pure talent perspective, they added a surefire impact player. So for me, I mean, as long as they can continue to put in that effort on the defensive end, this should be one of the more scarier teams in the Jimmy Butler era if they can just, like I said, keep playing on that side of the ball as we head into the playoffs. Before we get into the next 3 games, what's your thoughts on that, Dean?
But on the whole Terry Rozier thing?
On the whole thing about just this team, like we've been talking about how deep they were for most of the year, and that, you know, saying the deepest team in the Jimmy Butler era, but adding Terry Rozier and only had to give up Kyle Lowry and a first-round pick to do it. It's probably the most talented team he's played on. I
agree.
I mean, so if they can continue to, you know, put that effort in defensively, man, you should have just as much confidence as you had in any that they can make a run. And if Philly losing Joel Embiid with that meniscus flap injury, if Milwaukee going up to Portland on Dame night, losing that game, and if the Boston Celtics losing to a Lakers team without Anthony Davis or LeBron James in the lineup should tell you anything, it's what we've been trying to tell you all season long. That East ain't as strong as people want to make it out to see.
I never thought the East was
I literally said that, Dean. I literally said we've been saying that. Come on now, brother.
Yeah.
You put down the sandwich. Put down the sandwich and take your eyes off college basketball because I know that's what you're doing over there. Anyway, so
Duke's
look,
about to play, man.
I already know the Miami Heat next 3 games, man. If you look at their schedule, it's not crazy. However, you look at the teams they're playing, and you do want to show them some respect. They got the Clippers on Sunday, a team we've talked about trending in the right direction. I honestly think this is going to be a year the Clippers make some noise. Yeah, they got the Clippers tomorrow. Again, we're coming at you on Saturday, February 3rd. They got the Orlando Magic on Tuesday. I always talk about this. The Magic want to beat us. They want to always show the Miami Heat that they're not the little brothers. No matter what their records are, you throw them out the window because that's always a highly contested game for the most part, honestly. And let's be honest, Paolo Baller. I love me some Paolo. Like, if Paolo want to stay in Florida for the rest of his career, and you tired of everybody dancing all in the videos, come on over here to Death Row. You know what time it is. And then we close next Wednesday, this next 3-game stretch. I'm saying close, but this is next 3-game stretch because the following game isn't until the following Sunday, so we will go too far out. But the 3 games of this week, as I mentioned, the Clippers, the Magic, and next Wednesday against the San Antonio Spurs. We welcome Wembanyama into Kaseya to beat him up a little bit and foul him every chance we get. What's your thoughts on these next 3 games? I'll tell you what, give me a thought on each team and then give me your record, and I'll do the same before we close it out.
Is this our first time playing Vic this season? To be honest, first time playing him this season?
I think this is our first time seeing Wembanyama. Let me check. No, we played him on November the 12th.
I don't remember.
Okay, no, we played him on November the 12th, but he wasn't as comfortable as he is now. I mean, anything that early, you know what I'm saying?
But back to these games, man. I'm really excited about the Clippers game. That's gonna be a really good game. I know me, you. Oh
wow!
Hold on.
Oh wow!
Oh,
we got a little production value. I had noticed that PJ Tucker, who's a member of the Clippers but hasn't played since last year,
Speak on it.
It
Speak on
looks
it,
like a
Tay.
little
Speak on it real quick.
yeah, looks like a little post his Instagram story there. Home sweet home. If you guys remember, PJ Tucker was a member of the Miami Heat. Over the last several seasons or so. We know he got fresh legs. He's been rumored to want to get up out of there. He wasn't or hasn't been traded yet. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't see them finding a trade for him. PJ Tucker
Buyout
looks like a
market.
strong. He looks like a strong buyout candidate. I'm glad that you're doing your job over there, Joel, from somewhere. Um, that's a good question for us. Sidebar on your three-game analysis.
Yes.
PJ Tucker, how you feel about that?
Yes. Yes. Bring him back. He was one of my favorite.
I
He
mean,
was my favorite player when he was here in Miami.
I mean that's
He
easy.
contributed a whole lot. You bring him
That's
back.
exact, and that's
Bring him
why I
back.
said the legs are fresh.
You
That's
need
easy,
that player
bro.
in this locker room right now. Bring him back.
Right, right. And what he do? We just talked about it. We could use some defenders.
Bring him back. But yeah.
It,
Go ahead,
but
okay.
I was just about to say it's a situation where you still got to worry about that because everybody human. But I think that by having another dog of PJ's ilk in that room, it lessens your chances of your defensive intensity slipping.
And honestly, to be 100% honest, I would love him against a Milwaukee or Boston in series. Bring him back.
Yes,
If he
sir.
if he
Yes,
is
sir.
a buyout
Specifically
candidate,
for those matchups.
bring him. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what
Exactly.
we need him for. Bring him back.
Exactly. And I'll even go a little further. Let's say if Joel Embiid do come back and find a way to stay healthy, Tobias Harris and Kelly Oubre, they've shown you at different times that they could be all right. So even if you need them for, one of those guys, and then moving beyond what we experienced in the finals last year, where it seems like MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., who can't get his foot out of his mouth, by the way. His WNBA takes. Wow, got the internet on fire. I have no take. I'm just saying. Michael Porter
NBA players ain't
Jr.
that smart. What I
Huh?
learned. NBA players just ain't that smart. Is what I learned over the years.
Hey, brother, it be like that. Like said, and the other boy, Aaron Gordon, the big light skinned twins over there. PJ Tucker could certainly help against guys like those. No, I'm 100% with it. He seems like he wants, he seemed like he want that old thing back. Make it happen. So, Clippers an interesting game. I tell you what, we didn't talk enough, man. We almost up on an hour. We want to get in and get out. Just give me your record. So they got the Clippers, and then like I said, they got the Magic. Always a tough one before they close out this week on Wednesday against the San Antonio Spurs. Where did the Miami Heat go in these next three games, Dean?
1-2.
1-2.
1-2.
Wow. So you saying they beat the Magic but lose to the Clippers and the Spurs?
I say they beat the Spurs. They lose to the Clippers and Magic.
Ooh. I say this Miami Heat team go 3-0.
You said that last time and we went 0-7.
I know. I know. I know. I know. But I say this Miami Heat team go 3-0.
Listen, I
Because
would
I
love
think
to see
that
that, man.
I think that we've hit that point in the year where Jimmy's sending subliminal messages. We're
Oh
seeing the
man,
random
yeah.
we're
I'm
seeing the
surprised we
random
didn't
bike
speak on
rides
it.
through Miami. Right. I mean, because it's we you know what I'm saying? We've been here before, baby. We're gonna act like we've been here. We pros. We know the Jimmy trajectory. He's taking random bike rides through Miami. His agent is screaming that he's never going anywhere. Jimmy's out there being Jimmy. I mean, oh wow. Zach LaVine out for the season with the season-ending surgery. That's unfortunate. He's been on the trade block all year long, it seems. So I guess he won't get traded, but that does beg up an interesting question. Is Chicago going to tear it down? Which even throws
They
more
better tear
names
it
out.
down. That team
Absolutely.
stink.
It's terrible. But it just begs even more questions, because some of those pieces be there for other teams that are looking for guys. Because you got to look at a guy like Andre Drummond, who absolutely reminded the league of what he can do when Boots was out for an expanded amount of time. He has to be a guy that teams are looking at, especially if your team looking at competing against Nikola Jovic. He's a guy with the athleticism and the strength that could bother him for a couple of minutes per game. And like I said, he could go out there and snatch you 15 boards in 12 minutes. You got to look at a guy like DeMar DeRozan. I don't think that they would move Kobe White, who's having a career year and probably going to be their lead guard of the future. But you look at a guy like him, You look at a guy like PAW, Patrick, that guy. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't think of his name right now, but the kid from Florida State. You look at a guy like him who could be a big, versatile defender for you. They're probably going to tear that thing down in Chicago. It's unfortunate to see, but with Levine been on the trade block all year, I mean, that's just the way the cookie crumble. He filthy rich. Not that matter, but it'll be the bounce back. I said that to say this, man. It's all about the Miami Heat over here. I think they're going 3-0. Deem think they're going 1-2. He gonna end up being wrong. Even though,
I hope I am wrong.
even though he could be right. I mean, because the Clippers and the Magic could. I mean, we agree on this though. The Spurs have no chance, right?
Yeah. Okay, before we close out, can I go on a little rant before we close out?
Absolutely, man. Look, I tell you what, you got all the time you need. After you done, I'm gonna close this thing out and play the music. But the floor is yours, Dave.
No, it's just gonna be a quick little, maybe 2-minute rant. Not really a rant. Just say something about how stupid these guys on these sport network is, ESPN, Kendrick Perkins. Listen, let me say something. All Heat fans out there, however many of y'all watching this show, please stop putting so much into these fake analysts like Kendrick Perkins, Stephen A. Smith. Those guys, yeah, Kendrick Perkins played in the NBA and Stephen A. been covering the NBA for years. But a lot of these guys do not watch Heat games whatsoever. They just don't. And Perkins is one of those guys. He has to be the biggest idiot on TV I ever seen in my life, bro. Now everyone is, he's starting the trade Jimmy Butler thing. You do not trade Jimmy Butler. And then, first of all, that's not just Kendrick Perkins. That's for a lot of people who's on Heat Media or whatever the hell you want to call it. These people who got Heat podcasts. You don't trade Jimmy Butler. You don't trade the guy who took your team from mediocrity. Just remember before Jimmy Butler came, how smack dead in the middle this Miami Heat team was. Like we were bad. We were a mediocre ass team, and he grabbed us out of that. Everybody doubted us when we was the AFC last year. Then everybody start whating once Jimmy Butler had that crazy playoff run and led us to the finals. Jimmy Butler is a cornerstone player. He's a franchise cornerstone player. The numbers might not say it, but when he's on that court, he proves it night in and night out. Yes, you got times where he doesn't look engaged or he's having a bad game or whatever the case may be. But if you go to guys like Joel Embiid, Paul George, all these guys, Westbrook, James Harden, whoever you want to name, in the playoff times, when the playoff times come, they disappear. They get all the praises in a regular season, but once May and April and June come, they disappear. Since Jimmy Butler been in the Miami Heat uniform, he showed up every single night once the playoffs came. So all that trade Jimmy Butler bullcrap and Miami Heat is dead, and this and that, bro. Once May and April come and June come, whatever, we're gonna pull all those receipts up. All those media guys who love Embiid and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and all those Damian Lillards and guys, and I'm a huge Dame fan, but I gotta throw a shot at him too. They're not there once the time comes. And Jimmy Butler is every night in the playoffs. So yeah.
I mean, listen, bro. A man that has proven to you he is one of the most elite. Look, there are several guys on the short list of what Jimmy did last year. It go him, another dude, and Jordan. Like, those are the only dudes who's been able to do what Jimmy did in a game last year, in a game that mattered, when his team absolutely needed every single bucket. So a guy that has proven to you that he can do that and drag you to the conference finals in the NBA finals in multiple years in a short window, he deserves to go out however he wants to.
Absolutely.
Point blank period. And when he's showing you, especially that he's, still got that juice left, not only does he deserve to go out whenever he wants to, but why don't you want him to continue to do that? I mean, but again, that speaks to your whole point. Us of us that watch it on a regular basis, we know that. And that's pretty
Let's
much
see what
it,
those
man.
media darlings, Boston Celtics, do and against Miami in the playoffs this year. Hopefully, we will see them in the playoffs this year.
We know what they're gonna do, man. They're gonna shoot 1,000 threes. They're gonna miss 900 of them, and we're still gonna win in 6 games. Hopefully, it won't be as dramatic as last year. You got anything else before we close it out, Dean?
Nah, man, bro, I really just want the playoffs to come. Like, that's what I'm excited about. I just want the playoffs to come so we can just prove
Right?
everybody wrong in the media again, bro. It's
But
just
that's the fun part, bro. That's the fun part. We need
I'm
these
gonna be
next 2 games
quiet.
to continue to get ourselves together.
Yeah, we'll talk about this. You know, hopefully during All-Star break. We'll come together
Absolutely.
and do something special for All-Star break after All-Star break.
Absolutely. Definitely, man. We're gonna definitely had to figure out some more engaging ways to talk about it because we pretty much know what this looks like for the Miami Heat. Lock in and figure out how to maximize yourself once the playoffs come because more often than not, you're going to be there. Listen, man, we came in, we saw, we conquered. We thought it was going to be quicker than it was, but of course, with me and Dean, that always turns into an adventure. We thank you for lending your ear to this sound, man. Of course, that's Dean. I'm Kay, and this has been the Biscayne Breakdown. We'll holla.
Yeah. When I pull up on the scene, dead fresh and casket clean, they gon' hate on me.